What's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome,
What's
welcome.
up?
Benson, how's it going?
It's going great, man. It's going so good. Just man, the team is doing amazing over here at Privy. You got so many exciting new things coming out, like the the new directors that we brought on are like just kicking butt, and
Awesome.
everything's just getting scaled up better. It's awesome.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love to hear that. Love to hear scaling. Scaling is always the fun stuff. I'm gonna jump into a gem right at the start. But one of the things we mentioned at the mastermind, and one thing that I've been talking a lot within people that are inside agent investors, is three S's. And three S's I think are essential to business. And where most people go wrong is they try to jump to the third. The first is survivability. The second is stability. Then it's scalability. So if we're talking about scaling as the third S, too many times people try to jump to scaling before they even have stability. So survivability, for those that are maybe watching this that haven't gotten their first deal, that's first and foremost. So if you are in this point where you're trying to get a deal in the first 30 days or less, I'm probably one of the weird guys that's going to say you need income, you need your bills to be paid, you need a job. So let's start with understanding income needs to come in. We can do this on the side. We could use a software like Privy to be able to go in and do this from the comfort of your own home and identify opportunities. We've been crushing it on Privy recently. And I don't know if it's just where the market's at currently or what, but we are having a lot of fun in Florida. Jacksonville and Tampa specific have been amazing. And so we're in that same kind of boat where we're trying to scale. We've done 9 deals in the last week and a half. We got one closing. I don't know if it closed yesterday. If it didn't close yesterday, it's closing today. But we are rocking and rolling. So we love scaling. We love the success. Benson, that's awesome. How's the week been so far too?
It's just flying by. It's just like you blink and then the week's over and you're like, what the heck did I get done?
Yep.
But I mean, that's a great thing because, we have some really big announcements in July. So I just can't wait till we get to those July announcements. So I can't, disclose too much here today, but you guys are up for some pretty cool announcements.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Do we have everyone in the chat here awake? Are you guys good? I was telling Benson this before we went live. I want to be very vulnerable and transparent with you guys. Today is one of those days that I'm working off like 2-3 hours of sleep. So when you wake up and you have those days, you're like, man, I don't want to do it. That's kind of me today. So bear with me. If I sound tired, if I sound like I've just been beat up, it has been that kind of week over here. So what I want to see from you guys is, are you awake? If you are, let's see the chat blow up. Let's see the engagement, the interaction, and understanding, collaboration. As you guys know, this is a live show. Benson and I do not have a script. This is not like the NFL or NBA where we have something to follow. I'm just kidding. What we want you guys to know is that as this is a live show with no script, the more interaction you guys can do with us, the better it is, not just for us, but for you guys as well. We're trying to evolve and make the show better every single week. And what we have found is that the more that you guys are talking to us and talking together, the better it becomes for all of us. So if you guys don't mind, put in the chat. We're going to keep talking for a couple minutes while Benson gets everything pulled up. But I would love to see, what market do you guys want us to call today? If you guys didn't know this, every week when we go in and we call the realtors, if we are in a market that I don't focus in, which primarily right now is Arizona and Florida, anywhere else in the country, what I do after these shows, I take the information from the people that we called and I give it away inside of our Discord. So my whole goal is to basically go and give you guys buyers, give you realtors, and more importantly, identify deals for you to go and close these deals. There was a deal that we got on Privy, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. We gave it away inside of our Discord. One of the guys on my team went and closed it, made $7K. So the opportunities are there. You guys can go and do this too. We want you guys to go and do these deals live with us. So if it's in markets where we don't have buyers or we don't have connections and it's your market, speak up, show up in the Discord, ask questions. We will give them away.
Amazing. There's a lot of good suggestions here. Orange County, Kansas City, Minneapolis, Charlotte.
Let's pick a tough one, because what I've been doing with some calls recently, I'm kind of over the whole excuse of, Ryan, you sound good on the phone. You have flips, you have rentals, you have this, you have that. Today, I'm going to make a call. I'm going to stutter. I'm going to mess up. And I'm going to tell everybody that I'm talking to that I am a wholesaler. I'm a wholesaler. I have buyers. This is what I do. So if you are in that same position, you can see me mess up on purpose and still get some stuff done.
I'm laughing at Joe Lavery in the chat. He's like, Minneapolis, Minneapolis, Minneapolis. And then he's like, did I mention Minneapolis?
That's awesome.
So, Joe, persistence is paying off for you. That's what we're going to do today. At least we'll dip and start there. So I have a feeling that's how you are in business too, right? You guys, persistence pays off, and that's the same thing for agents, buyers, all of those people. Once you call them, don't forget about them. Make sure they get in your CRM. Make sure you're following up with them. It's like when you're going for off-market leads, like it could take 10 touches for those people to get into a place where they want to have a conversation with you. So, Joe, good job. We're going to look at Minneapolis. All right, let's go ahead and start this off.
Let's go.
Cool. So, for anybody who's getting a refresher or you're not familiar with Privy, this is the Privy platform. This is what we use every week to go and find buyers, to find investor-friendly agents, to find deals. Basically, a lot of the things that you need to be able to assemble a deal. And when I say assemble, I actually use that word intentionally because you have a lot more control about the outcome of your business than you think you do. And with a platform like Privy, you can be very intentional about where you choose to look for deals. So Joe likely lives in Minneapolis, which is why he wants to look there. But maybe Minneapolis wouldn't be the best place to look. So we're going to look at the investor activity that's in Minneapolis and get a sense of like what's going on there. We're still going to drill down, but I do want to talk about the reasons why you may choose one market over another market. One of the reasons why you might choose one market over another market is the source of the data. The best data that's available in the world for what we do is the data that comes directly from the MLS. And where you see blue on the map here is where that data is actually already located. So we've already tied in, we've got like a thoroughfare of data coming directly from the MLS. That's different than what you're going to find on other platforms. Other platforms are great competitors. They all have third-party listing data. We're the only company that has direct to MLS on scale. So that's the blue areas, as well as where we have red on the map. Those are the coming soon markets. Wherever you see like the black and the yellow is going to be either county record data or public record, and also third-party listing data. So it's just not as up to date as the direct to MLS. But when it comes to off-market leads or owner information, that's going to be the same regardless. So if you're pulling a list of homeowners, absentee owners from Boise, Idaho, that's going to be as up to date as if it was in Salt Lake City, because that public record data is different than the MLS. It's not the same information. So let's look at the Minneapolis market. But before we do that, I'm going to click this button here at the top that says fix and flip. And that's going to plot on the map where all the investor activity is located, which will help us determine if our market is where we should be spending all that valuable time and money. So if I look at Minneapolis right here, we've got numbers like 745, 895. So that's going to be like Minneapolis, St. Paul. So about 1,500 deals in that greater area. Not horrible, but it's not as good as a place like Milwaukee or Chicago or Indianapolis or St. Louis. So one of the other things that you want to look at when you're looking at choosing a market is, well, obviously investor activity, direct to MLS data, and then boots on the ground. So it sounds like Joe lives there. So he would be his boots on the ground. So that might make this market more advantageous for him. But don't let you being on the ground in that market be the sole reason why you're choosing it. You want that high investor activity. That is a really key thing. So as we drill down here into Minneapolis, these clusters here are going to start to break up, and we're going to get a little bit more clarity on where the hot areas are at. So it appears to me that there's basically two pockets of good activity right over here, just north of the airport, and then right here in this little pocket, Camden, Crystal Robbinsdale. Let's use these two areas right here. So I'm going to center this, and we're going to get down close here. And then these will start to break up, and then we'll get to see what's going on. So right here, there's a nice little pocket of activity,
And
right?
Benson, just to clarify too, so we click on the fix and flip, we see that we zoomed in, we're picking high investor activity. These are all red boxes, meaning that these are sold properties.
These are sold fix and flips.
Okay.
So there's no tag in the MLS or no way that they flag like a fix and flip for sure. So what we do is we look for 2 transactions that happened in an 18-month period on the same property,
Okay.
and then that property went up in value. And we say that we want it to be at 75% of the ARV or lower.
Okay.
Okay, 75% or lower. So that will capture most fix and flips.
Beautiful.
So you can see here, this is a great area that you would want to target if you're doing any marketing. If you are working with an agent, this is where you'd want to look. If you're an agent and you have an investor that says, hey, I want to look for deals in Como because that's where they live, you want to talk to your client and say, hey, listen, I understand you want to look in Como because that's where you live, but honestly, I think you're going to get a better return on investment if we can try to find a deal right here in this Robindale area. Because that way, when they're saying, okay, we want to fix and flip a property, for example, we're going to have the data here to maximize the amount of revenue we can get out of that deal, as opposed to in Como, where there's not really any fix and flips. If you're the first one to do a flip in a market, they have to use unrenovated comps to prove value on that, and that squashes the potential on the back end of what you can make. So you never want to be the trailblazer. You always want to be the one that comes in after the comps are already established. And that's why we choose those markets for wholesale as well.
I love it. And one of my favorite things, I try to mention this every week because you don't know if someone just is this, if this is your first time popping in. What I like about on the left side is that this is sorted by most recent sold. So when you're trying to figure out who is actually buying, I always say talking to agents, talking to title, obviously, if you could find them at meetups or dumpsters out front of the house, those are great resources. But if you can trust the data like this and see a property 3119 Knox Avenue just sold, what is that, 626?
26.
That's 2 days ago. So what we always say is that the hardest part of being an investor is to find a deal. So if the hardest part of being an investor is to find a deal and we know they just sold one, most investors that fix and flip, they have to find the next property, meaning they have to find some kind of job that they can go in and fix and flip a deal where they can keep their construction crews busy. Because at the end of the day, the downfall of being an investor that fix and flips is that if your crews are not busy, they go elsewhere. They will go to your competitors. It's a lot of times where they will go where they can be continuously sent more business. It's nothing more than just they've got to keep food on their table too. So in this case, what you want to do is provide value to your investors by making sure that you're keeping their crews busy and bringing deals and opportunities to the table for them.
Yep, absolutely. And one of the things that we do in this compare market analysis for you as well is we help you comp properties out. So we look at the property itself, excuse me, and we use the bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, stories, and we build a comp zone. It's a half a mile from the center. And then we can show you that similar houses that are in the area. Now, this one only has 2 comps. And you might be thinking, well, there's got to be more activity going on there. And there surely is, but look how small this house is. It's 720 square feet. So a unique house is going to have less comps and less data. And that actually is a good lesson, probably, Ryan, is that when you're looking at wholesale deals, you want houses that are like all the other ones. Like, you don't want really unique houses when you're wholesaling. You want homes that are like just like everything else, because that creates more demand, and it creates more supply of comparables that you can use to prove ARV to your buyers, and also thinking about what an appraiser is going to look at too, right?
For sure. One of my biggest pet peeves when I'm getting properties sent to us is when somebody tries to paint the picture. We're not Picasso. We're not trying to go out there and try to say, this is why this is going to be a deal. This is why you're going to make money on it. What you want it to be able to do is look at how Benson just did that. And Benson, I think when we're done here in a second, I would love for you to share how you went and did that, because I think it's important for people to know we're comparing apples to apples, not apples to oranges. Yes, they are both fruits. But in this case, what I'm trying to get my point across as is that we're looking at a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. That seems crazy, by the way. 4-bedroom, 720 square foot house. But 4 bedroom, 720 square foot house, we need to make sure that we're comparing this to at very max 1,000 square foot home. And even then, if you can't have the awareness that 1,000 square foot home that is going to be more valuable than the 700 square foot home, that is nothing more than just the house is bigger. That's it. So when we start looking at bedroom, bathroom square footage count, they need to be somewhat similar. If you're looking for a guideline as to what it has to be, X amount of square footage above is still a comparable house, I always say at very most 500 square feet. More realistically, 300 to 350 square feet, higher or lower, is going to be a comparable property. Now, obviously, being mindful too, single story to 2-story, single story is more valuable. Pool versus no pool. If you're in Arizona, pool is more valuable. 9 times out of 10, depending on the market, pool is more valuable. Is there add-ons? Is it all permitted? Is this a bigger lot? Is this a cul-de-sac? Is this in one school district versus the other? Most important thing that I always try to get our point across as is that you do not want to cross any major intersections. So before Benson went and put on the surrounding areas for comparables, we only saw 2 properties that crossed a main road. I don't love comping that way, but also if you don't have comps, you have to think about what an appraiser does. They zoom out, they stay in a half mile to a mile radius, and they still compare similar properties. So what Benson did was click on settings, and then he clicked on activity type all, and then he clicks save, and it pops up the other comparable properties.
Yeah, and we also give you guys the chance to fine tune the comps. So I went from what our standard comping practices were, which is like a 15% tolerance in the square feet, matching up stories, just being very, very diligent about having like a really tight niche of comps, to removing it completely. But you can actually come in here and you can say, okay, well, let's go to 20% on the square feet. Let's include 2 stories. Let's, increase the comp zone radius to a mile. Like, you can fine tune that so you can, slowly change it. But the point of going all activity is to really just see what's there. Is there really just no activity at all? And we found that out pretty quickly, that there's a lot of activity in here. It's just that this is such a unique home. And I realized why this one was such a unique home. Look at it. It's kind of like a garden level.
Yeah, definitely. When you scroll down, I'm like, that makes sense. Because
Yeah,
4
so
bedrooms in 720 square feet. Is that accurate, Benson?
Yeah, so they're not counting this actually as a level, because it's actually like a garden level basement. And you don't have basements in AZ, so you probably don't deal with those much.
We have a few, but our soil is not the greatest for basements. So it's like very custom, and it's specific to some home builders. But yeah, in the Midwest, East Coast, even parts of the Southeast, basements are around. So
there's a lot of basements. And this right here is always a debate. Is this really a level, or is it a basement with windows?
And so is that square footage included inside this property then on the original property?
No, they counted it as 720. That counted above right here. They didn't count this garden level basement. Now, in any case, there's a few other things here that we want to know. The first thing is, because of the way we have current data and also historical data, we put the information side by side so you can see the before and after. They actually bought this thing in February of this year. Here's what it looked like before they fixed it up. Older home, all original, obviously in need of a renovation. They got it.
They have a stainless steel in the kitchen.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, sometimes they'll just like throw in some extra things, but look how small this stove is, man. They just say, I'm like, that'll work.
Then you push it up. Just love it.
They bought it for $215,000 from the MLS. So this is part of your local market research, you guys. There's things that you can learn by researching this investor activity, and it's like what a deal is, figuring out what percentage of ARV buyers are actually buying at, not just a number that you've established based off of the 70% MAO formula, or like what works in like Cleveland. So you're going to use that in Chicago, and you're going to use the same thing in LA. Like, local market research will be the difference between you passing up on good deals and actually writing offers that have a chance of winning, like maximizing your offer where there's still a margin, but still giving you a good chance of winning the bid. If you don't know what a deal is, usually what happens, even if you take action, which mostly the time you're paralyzed, but if you do take action and you don't know your numbers, what do people mostly do, Brian?
They're not going to take you serious. They're just going to ignore it. And I'll tell you, even from the guy,
they lowball, right?
For sure. If even that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then so that's what I was playing. I didn't, get to that, but I was trying to get you to say that the people here who do take action, if they don't understand the numbers, is they lowball, thinking, okay, well, if
They're
I
going to
can
go
get
off of like
accepted,
60% of ARV if they have proper ARV, and it's
right?
just lazy. Where I was going to is the step after is that when they bring the property to the investor is just not going to take them serious. What you need to be able to do, while the market research, I think, is first and foremost, the second piece we talk about is finding the buyers, which we're going to get to in a minute, but coincided with buyers is understanding your numbers. It's not even just understanding your numbers, it's understanding your buyers' numbers,
Yep.
especially if you are going in with the intention to wholesale. You have to understand what it is that we are trying to accomplish here, which is getting deals done. We don't have 80 something people in here right now watching this on all of our platforms because they just want to see Benson and I. As much as Benson and I are good looking dudes that are funny occasionally, we are over here trying to provide value and show you guys what you could do to be able to get deals done efficiently. So the market research is to show you that's why we zoomed in on specific areas. It is nothing more than big number, click on that. High investor activity, understand it. This right here is a prime example as to why I love Privy, being able to go in and see this and say, oh man, this is a property that was not only bought, fixed and flipped and sold. This is a property that was bought off the MLS. One of the biggest limiting beliefs around this strategy is that there's no deals on the MLS. People don't buy off the MLS. Let's knock both of those out right now because we have a buyer that just bought off the MLS and we had a deal that was on the MLS too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you can learn what percentage of ARV the buyer will buy from the MLS. And in this case, they're willing to buy at 64%. Now, no one property is going to give you all of the information you need to know a market in general. But if you research these properties and you become a student of that market, you become a local market expert. And that will set you aside from everybody else that's just playing house, right? They're like tinkering around, they're looking on Zillow, and they're not really, taking anything seriously. But if you study these, the next time an opportunity comes across your desk, you're going to be able to look at that with confidence and say, this is a deal. And I know it's a deal because I did my research. Oh, and by the way, that's just like the house down on 52nd Avenue was sold last week. They sold it for 334. They got it for around 200. That if I can get mine for 180, that's surely a deal.
Mm-hmm.
So you use precedents. Have you ever heard, like law, like past law? They use past law to determine the way that you currently evaluate current situations and current law situations. So the precedence here is that this buyer who bought the 64% and was willing to buy from the MLS.
Mm-hmm. And Benson, we have a comment in there too from April. It says, Benson, how can you tell if it's from the MLS again?
Oh, a couple different things. The first thing is that there's an MLS ID. The photos usually are a tip off, but sometimes some MLSs will remove photos and you'll just have a street view here. But I guess the main one is that you'll see an MLS ID. That's the main determiner.
Perfect.
If this was purchased direct from the seller, it wouldn't have an MLS ID here. It would say public record, and then you would see the street view.
Yep.
Really good question, April. And that's key, right? So this buyer right here, SOG Diana LLC, we don't have to go and convince SOG Diana LLC that there are good deals on the MLS. She already knows that. And if you have a primarily on-market deal finding strategy, these are going to be higher value targets for you as buyers than people who you're looking at that are buying only off-market. So you got to convince them that your property is a deal, and you have to convince them that they should consider looking at on-market deals too.
Absolutely. Should we call this person?
Yeah. You want to call SOG Diana, or you want to call Zafar?
Call the agent.
Yeah,
call the agent Zafar. Oh, that's an easy name just to type up there.
Kamdamov. Zafar Kamdamov.
Yeah.
So the reason why we're calling Zafar is because Zafar, we know, works with real estate investors. And we know that they work with at least one because we're looking at a transaction where the data proves that that's true. Now, if you were to source agents elsewhere, say from the local RIA or from a Facebook group or bigger pockets even, they can say they work with investors, but you don't know for sure. So why even mess around with that? Just go to where the data tells you to go.
Let's do it.
Hello, this is Zafar. Thank you for calling. I'm sorry I missed your call.
And I'm going to show you guys how you can leave a voicemail in this case too when we're trying to find buyers.
Also, feel free to send me a text. Thanks.
Hey Zafar, my name is Ryan. I'm calling about a property. It looks like you just sold on 52nd Avenue out there in Crystal, Minnesota. I'm just trying to find some people that are interested in buying some more properties. Wanted to reach out, introduce myself, and see if I could be of value. Give me a shout back. I appreciate it. This is my cell. So just like that, left a voicemail. You guys can take that one word for word. I think that is a good script. I don't have that memorized. I just kind of go with the flow. Every time I have a conversation, it's a little bit different. I just want people to see that the value behind calling and leaving a voicemail when you're working with buyers is to first off, introduce yourself. Second, state off what your intention is because realtors are busy. Third is get straight to the point and what value you could provide. So, hello, my name is Ryan. I'm calling because it looks like you just sold the property on 52nd. I wanted to see if you guys were looking to buy more properties. I have some. That's it.
Yep. And that also too, what's great about that is that you weren't like so detailed where you just drew out that whole thing. You left enough to the unknown, right? Where to create some curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna be like, who is this guy? I'm gonna call him back.
Yeah. Why? Why did I do that? Well, the hardest part of being the investor is to find a deal. So if I can leave the carrot in front of the donkey there, and again, terrible analogies, bear with me, but the carrot in front of the donkey, I mean, they're gonna keep walking. They're gonna come back. They're gonna say, hey, wait, time out. You have deals? I'm looking for deals. So you do this enough times in a day. What I always say your end goal should be on the day minimum is adding at least one buyer. The funny thing is when we do this on Wednesdays, we add in at least 2, 3, 4 buyers in an hour. So when we tell you to go add a minimum of one per day, I just want the expectation to be that the more buyers you're talking to, the more likely you are to get more deals. You can't go in wholesale without having buyers lined up. So when we go in and we have these conversations and I'm finding 2, 3 buyers in an hour, I have the understanding that realistically, one of them is probably a really good buyer out of 2 or 3. So if you have 10 buyers in a day, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 buyers are going to be good. It's typically around like that 30, 40% range as to who actually can perform. One of the reasons why we use Privy for finding our buyers is because we can actually prove that they just sold a deal. They bought and sold this property, even this one on Queen. Well, if they sold this, I don't need to go do one of my qualifying questions with buyers, which again, we teach in agent investors, which is, can I see your last few deals? I don't need to ask to see their last few deals because I'm looking at one. It would be very, very dumb for me to go in and say, so Zavar, I'm calling you about your property on 52nd, but can I see your last few flips? He'd be like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? I'm going to go in there. I'm going to say, hey, what's up, man? I'm just calling. Wanted to introduce myself. Looks like you just sold this property. I was wondering if you were looking for more.
Yeah. And the answer is going to be yes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it may not be right now. The answer is yes. And it might be, well, you know what? We're in the middle of a flip right now. But, you know, we might be needing something here in about a month or so. What do you got?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And there's a great question here too in the chat. Rodney says, if Zafar calls you back, what do you say if you currently have no properties under contract? Rodney, that's a great question. So first off, you're not going to lie to him. You're not going to say, what do you want? You're not like some house drug dealer. You're not like, I got all the stuff. What are you looking for? You're going to be honest with them and say, hey, you know, I actually have a few things that come across my table every single day. One thing I'm missing at the current moment is a buyer. So I didn't want to waste anybody's time. I don't want to go in there and get properties under contract and back out like a lot of rookie wholesalers do. So instead, what I would love to do is if you were interested in purchasing more, can I bring you those with first dibs?
That was, you guys write that down. So this is actually being streamed live to many of our socials. That right there is gold. Go back to minutes 29:30, and after this is over, and write that down word for word. That one will pay dividends to you.
And you'll be able to sleep at night. A lot of times where people in wholesale mess up, aside from comparison, is that it's imposter syndrome. You've already changed the Instagram bio. You've gotten an LLC, but you don't know what you're doing. You have a proof of funds letter, but it's not even real. Well, guess what? I didn't lie there. I'm not going in saying I'm the best of the best. I'm the guy that has everything available. The thing that I provided in value was saying I'm giving them first dibs. I have a lot of stuff across the table. I don't know what to do with it. Are you interested? Nobody's going to tell you no.
Yep. So there's an agent on this one too. Maybe we can call them Zachary Kirchhoff of
Zachary is our
Sotheby's
guy.
International Realty. So the buyer on this one is Ireland Homes SFX LLC, and they're willing to buy from the MLS too. But look at this great deal they got. That last one that we saw, I think it was at 63%. You know, not a bad deal. Ireland got this thing for 49% of the ARV. And this is not in horrible shape. This is going to be a deal where they're going to make a good amount of money on. 49%. We can also see some of the timelines. Look at how fast they did this project. You guys want to work with professionals? Yes, they buy, but look at their construction period. If you got somebody who's getting in and out of a complete rehab in 62 days, they know what the heck they're doing. 60 days is fast for a house that's in this condition. They did a fantastic job. They also priced it appropriately. They put it at whatever it was. Let me know when you're on there. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah.
285. It's sold for 285. They didn't even have to do a price reduction.
You reach the cell phone of Zach Kirchhoff with Ireland Homes.
Oh, Zach.
International Realty. Please
got some words for Zach.
At the tone, please record your message. When you finish recording,
And you could also call and leave a voicemail like this, where you could say you're a wholesaler. Hey, what's up, Zach? My name is Ryan. I'm an investor, but I'm a wholesaler primarily working in Minnesota. I am based in Arizona, like I mentioned, but I have a few deals that came across my table that look like they'd be a good opportunity for an investor. So it looks like you just sold the property on Queen Avenue in Minneapolis, and I've got a few that popped up that were right around the corner. Just trying to call and provide value and see if you're a buyer or if you were interested in purchasing it. Let me know. Give me a shout back. This is my cell. My number is 480. So there, obviously, fumbled a little bit, mentioned Arizona like 3 times, whatever. I went in there. I provided value by saying, hey, guess what? I'm a wholesaler. I have a few properties that come across my table. One that looks like it was just around the corner from Queen Avenue. So I also brought it full circle, and I referenced a property that he had just sold, so he knows that I'm not full of shit.
Yep. Yeah. Talking about properties that they've done in the past, you guys, even if you feel like it's overdone, for them, they're just hearing that you've done a little bit of research. You're elevating yourself in the mind of both buyers and agents, depending upon you're talking to, when you talk about the deal that they closed. Sometimes it makes sense to mention the property itself, like the conversion, like, oh, that attic space that you guys changed, like, man, it looks so much like more open that you painted the wainscoting. Like, it looks
let's
so
do
good.
something like that on the next one, Benson. Let's find a property, another one, because I feel like we can't move to finding a deal until we have a buyer. But I feel like we can find a property, and I'm going to reference something they did in the flip rather than just referencing the address. I'll still mention that one, but I'm going to go in and say, hey, I love the flooring. I think that's beautiful. I love the windows. I love the whatever it is.
So I'm going to just mention this one, but actually this could be a good one to call too, you guys. Earlier, April was asking about how do you know if it was on market or off market. See, this one says public record. So this is a public record direct to seller acquisition. That last one we looked at was at 49%. That was on the MLS. This one was off market. They paid 69% of the ARV. So you guys, if you think that, again, people are just indoctrinated to believe that all the good deals are off market, it's not true. this person right here actually probably spent money in marketing. Who knows what it was, but it was likely, mailers or cold calling or knocked on doors or, they did ringless, but they spent some money to pay 69% of the ARV. And we had somebody who got it at 49% who didn't spend a single dime on marketing and maybe made more money, a better return on investment. But this is a much higher price point. So you can go to a higher percentage of ARV when you have higher prices because the margins are larger.
Okay, so watch this one. I'm going to call this agent. Benson, if you don't mind, can you just scroll through the photos really fast?
Yeah.
You have reached Sherry Fine at
Oh, Sherry. Is there like some crisis going on in Minnesota?
You have reached Sherry Fine at Edina Realty. Please leave a message.
All right, we're going to leave another voicemail, everyone.
Send me a text as well, and I will return your call promptly. Thank you for calling. The mailbox is full and cannot accept any messages.
Oh, Sherry.
All right. It's going to be like that, everybody. It's going to be like that.
Oh, man. All right,
all
Sherry.
good.
So if you were going to text somebody, which text is often a good follow-up, right?
Mhm.
What would you put into a text?
Hey, Sherry. My name is Ryan. I'm an investor calling about, I tried calling you about a property. Looks like you just sold. I'm an investor based in Arizona, and I wanted to just first off say the property you flipped on whatever the street name was beautiful. I had a few properties that came across my plate that seemed like they were very, very, very good opportunities to flip. But I just wanted to see if it'd be something that you or your buyer might be interested in purchasing. Give me a shout back. My number is blank.
Okay.
And Joe,
So-
triple dial wouldn't work because it went right to voicemail. So I agree, but also at the same time, that wouldn't work because it didn't work. So it's all good.
Let's see here. Here's another one. This one was an off-market acquisition. They would actually got this one as a really good deal, 23%.
Ooh, they stole that house.
Say what?
They stole that house. It's crazy.
They did. They got a great deal on this. So 23%. Let's call this one. I wonder, have you ever said like, man, I cannot believe you got that thing at 23% of the ARV? Like, is that anything you ever mentioned in your calls?
I think we should just do it. Let's go for it.
I wonder how much interest that generates from somebody when you're like, you tell them the percentage of ARV they bought it at.
Okay, so word for word percentage of ARV. I was gonna say like $23,000, but I think that, or $65,000. But I think we say, hey, dude, like 23% of ARV. That's insane. Let's go for it. Alfie, this person, if they answer, may not buy on market deals. So you move on to the next. But at the end of the day, the hardest part of being an investor is to find a deal. So let's educate them on why it doesn't matter if it's on market or off market. What's the difference of buying on market versus with a wholesaler? All right, whoever picked Minnesota, this is your fault.
Please leave your message for 6
Talking to you, Joe.
1 5 5 8 7.
Oh shoot, sorry, I just ran through their number. It's fine.
Nothing has been recorded.
Well, it didn't beep.
After the tone. Simply hang up when done.
All right, we got
Or
this.
for
We got this.
delivery options, press the pound sign.
Hey, Steven, my name is Ryan. I'm an investor based in Arizona, calling about a property. Looks like you just sold on Newton Avenue. Just calling to see if you guys were looking to buy some more in the area. We've got a few properties that come across our table every day, and it looks like we've got one that might fit the box that would be similar to what you just bought. Granted, I could see you bought that one at 23% of the ARV. I think that you guys obviously like to buy them pretty steep, but I think this one could still work too. So if you could just give me a shout back, I would love to send you over the properties. This is my cell. My number is 480. And there you go.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's actually good when like you like to buy them steep, 23% of the ARV. Like that's probably language they're not hearing from other people that are calling them.
Correct. And what I love about how you mentioned it, Benson, is that at the end of the day, what makes you different? If everybody's out there doing agent outreach, if everybody's out there working the MLS, everyone's out there doing the same thing, direct to seller, driving for dollars, door knocking, mailers, RVM, texting, cold calling. I'm just listing a bunch of them. But if you can understand that if there's competition everywhere, what makes you unique? It's similar to, I always compare this to like athletes, but there's a reason the LeBron James, the Michael Jordan, the Steph Currys, they are the best, right? Well, they're the best because one, they're unique, but two, they've mastered their craft. So if you're not putting in the reps and you're not going out there and trying to stand out differently, you're not going to. So we're not calling saying, hello, I'm looking for off-market fixer-upper properties. No. Absolutely not. What we are doing is going in and saying, hey, what's up? I see you sold the property on Newton. You want another one? And that, obviously, I'm saying a little aggressive because they're not answering the phone. But like, you're getting to the point, you're referencing a property, you're providing value. On to the next. You do it enough times. I don't know. I don't know why people aren't answering out in Minnesota. It's all good. It's fine. We're going to let it be. This next one's going to answer. I'm telling you.
So we're calling another agent.
I mean, I feel like we might as well. At this point, we're already so far down the rabbit hole of working with buyers in Minnesota. So if you guys are looking for the buyer relationships after this, I will gladly give you out the numbers inside of our Discord. But with that said, I feel like it'd be better if I had a conversation with somebody.
Yes, this one was 54% on market deal. The agent is Kirby and Christina, real estate experts.
That's interesting.
Remax.
Joe has buyers. All right, Kirby and Christina. Swear if they don't answer, karate chopping somebody. Just kidding. That's exactly it, Chad.
It's a great day, Kirby and Christina Remax. This is Carrie Ann.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Ryan. I'm calling about a property I think you guys just sold. It looks like, I mean, I don't even know how to say that street name. It's 516 36 and a half Northeast Ave.
Let me pull up our listing. Give me 1 second here.
For sure. It looks like you guys had just sold it. It was a beautiful remodel. I absolutely love the red on the front of the house. I don't know if that helps kind of connect the pieces.
Yeah, definitely. Let me see.
Okay, we're going to reference something with the house. I'm going to mention percentage of ARV. I'm going to mention I wholesale. I'm going to bring it all home, and this person's going to be someone you guys can reach out to.
You might ask for Kirby or Christina.
I don't know who this is.
Bear with me 1 second here.
No worries. And what was your name again?
Carrie Ann.
Carrie Ann. Awesome. Do you work on is it Kirby and Christina's team or?
So I'm actually a client care specialist with the team. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. She's an ISA.
Yep.
I don't know. They usually keep our website pretty up to date, so it's not going to pop up here. Let me try the MLS.
Okay.
instead.
Yeah, no worries.
So
Go ahead.
51630.
36 and a half.
36 and a half.
Yeah, Northeast Ave.
Okay.
And I think I have, I don't know if that's like the MLS number too. If that's easier for you.
Oh yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah, sure. Let me look here. So does it start with NST? Is that right?
Yep. And then just the numbers after that.
636 1362.
626.
Might have said that wrong. 626 at the end.
No, that.
Yeah, that pull up.
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect. So did you guys flip that one, or was that like an investor that you guys represented?
Let me see here.
And while you're doing that, if it's cool with you, I would love just to kind of like explain the reason for the call.
Sure.
So I'm based in Arizona, but we have a partner out there. His name's actually Joe. And he's kind of like my, I guess we'll call like boots on the ground, but he's been helping me out with a bunch of properties that we are looking at in Minnesota. And one of the things that we've been struggling with is actually trying to connect pieces. So we have a lot of opportunities and stuff where I think there could be money to be made between an investor and then obviously a realtor. And so one of the things we're trying to do is, before wasting anybody's time, I'm trying to reverse engineer and see if like a deal like this, for example, I didn't know if you guys flipped it or if you had a client that flipped it and you guys just listed it for them, but I could see the property was bought off the MLS. And so a lot of the stuff that we're getting, I just don't have the comfort level to take on that many flips. But if it's possible, I would like to provide value by being able to bring a deal to somebody that might be interested in purchasing it. And then obviously, if you were either the investor or just representing them, you could get that listing on the back end from them.
Gotcha. Okay. You want to know what? I don't see a lot of the information here about, how it was split, either,
Sure.
Ahead of time or not. I see here that it was our agent, Mariette, that she goes by Mahi. Would you like me to, reach out to her and see if I can get any, further details about that?
For sure. And I guess the biggest question too is, are you guys working with like a lot of investors, or do you guys flip properties yourself?
I don't know that we flip properties ourselves. I know we have quite a bit of investors. It's a little bit, as far as what I deal with personally, usually with investors, I don't have, a ton of conversations with them. Usually that's something that I kind of forward right over to, an agent.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that makes sense to me. At the end of the day, what we want to do obviously is not waste anyone's time and just lead with value first. So if there's anything that I could do to provide value to you guys or the agent that helped with the client in this deal, I would love for you to reach out. And then if she wanted to give me a shout back, we can hopefully connect some pieces and then get you guys some more listings and then even possibly joint venture on some deals together.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I can definitely reach out to her and see, what information I have about that. And,
cool.
Throughout our team entirely, if that's something that we want to, move forward with, I'll connect you to the right person. Okay.
For sure. And also too, I'm big on communication and expectation. So I just want to make sure that you relay this to her as well, so it's not an issue. Part of one of our strategies, aside from flipping, is wholesaling. So in this case, if we were to find an opportunity that we wouldn't be able to take down ourselves, we would love to be able to get the blessing from you guys that we could wholesale it. And then your client that would be buying it from us, you guys could go and get the commission on the back end with listing it. And then we'd even be open to splitting the assignment fee or whatever the wholesale fee is that we get with you guys too.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I appreciate all of the information. You said your name was Ryan, right?
Yep. And then my partner's name is Joe.
Okay. And Joe is here, right?
Yeah, Joe is there.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, I appreciate that. I can do, if I find someone on my team that would be best to connect you with, would email be good, or what would work for you?
Do you have this number on your phone, or is this like a work line that I called?
This is a work line, so it came through just so I know you called through Google online.
Okay. So I can give you my cell then.
Afterwards. Yeah.
You got it.
All right. Sounds good.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Bye-bye.
Nice.
That's what's up.
That was a tough one, man, because she's not the one, right? So she's like the person who answers the phone at the office. And so you guys might struggle on like what to do in those situations. I think Ryan handled it beautifully. She just really just kind of explained. He was educating her on what was going on. She probably doesn't even know what wholesale is. But
she has no idea what wholesaling is. She has no idea what the investors do. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, the nice part of that conversation is that she wrote down notes. And so part of the inside sales agent job is to take notes. It doesn't matter if this is a receptionist or if this is an inside sales agent, or she called herself a client care specialist or whatever it was. All of them do the same. They are to take and message one, bring it over to whoever the receiver of that message should be. So in this case, she was able to say, here is who the agent was. We don't know if they represented the investor. I don't think that this agent was the investor. It sounds to me like they have an investor client, but everything, by the way, on Google, if you look this person up, that agent's one of the most recommended, the one that they're talking about, Marietta. I think her name was Mar, but she seems to have incredible reviews, and it looks like she primarily does work with investors. So in this case, our entire goal is to lead with value. We're trying to not waste their time, like we mentioned. I mentioned, hey, by the way, I have opportunities that are coming across our plate all the time. The only thing that threw me off, which this is the first time I've seen this, that address. I mean, there were so many numbers in the half, whatever. I'm like, oh gosh, screw it, just go for it. And it ended up working out. We mentioned the front of the house. We mentioned location. We got what our point was across, and everything obviously came together at the end. So she's going to relay it to the agent. The agent will hopefully reach back out. And at the end there, if you guys caught what I did, I was very transparent in communicating. I was saying, by the way, we do flip, but a lot of times our exit strategy is going to be wholesale. So if our exit strategy is going to be a wholesale deal, I would like just for you to be able to relay that to her as well. Because at the end of the day, if they can get listings, the hardest part of being a realtor is to find a client. So if the client who they already have is looking for more deals, buys it from us, who is going to get the listing on the back end? It's going to be the agent. Now, the only thing I went above and beyond, which you don't necessarily have to do, was saying, oh, by the way, because you're going to have to get delayed payment with the listing when your client's done with the renovation, I'm willing to split my assignment fee with you as well. Why would I do that? To lead with value, to get the relationship, to get the point across, and more importantly, let's get some more deals.
Yep. Absolutely. So that was a great call. I mean, you guys, you're going to have calls like that. They don't always go the way you expect them to. Expect them to go sideways. But the only way you get through these scenarios is to put the reps in. Ryan's been doing this for 5 years,
7 years in real estate,
7 years,
4 years for the strategy.
He sees new situations every day, right? Just like this, he got tripped up by the address. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So we did our best to try to find some buyers, right? Because we want to have buyers before we go look for deals. And honestly, a deal is the criteria of a deal is what a buyer wants. So there's no universal, hey, this is a deal. A buyer is what a deal is willing to buy. So we had to do the local market research. We wanted to build the buyers list. If you wanted to look for deals here, you could pull lists from Privy. You can come in here and you can just click filter and you could pull lists of absentee owners or zombie properties or vacancies or, tired landlords. That's up to you. But you can also, as we saw, almost half of the properties we looked at were on the MLS anyway. You can click this button right here. It says find similar active deals, and Privy will use its comping algorithm to go out and search for properties that you can write offers on today. So I'm going to adjust this a little bit. So let's get rid of attached, and I'm going to lower this. Let's say, because I think we were seeing stuff right around below 60%. There was a couple.
Yeah, we had on average it was like 40 to 55, and we had a few that were like 69, 70%. So I think that we could probably raise it to like 65, but just being mindful, it's going to depend on who the buyer is.
Okay. And then also too, you guys, if you find something at 65 and you got a buyer that only buys at 63, well, you just offer less. Right. So, and I put an arbitrary price ceiling on there. It's whatever you want. Like when you talk to your buyers, they're going to tell you what their buy box is. So you can actually build a buy box for a specific buyer in this system, and then it will go out and it'll find properties for you. And then it will email you opportunities when they're found. And if you have, when you name the search, you might name this something like, what was it? Ireland. Homes deals. Right, so
Ireland was the LLC that they had. So just so you guys can reference, the reason he's saving it as that kind of search is because it's specific to that buyer.
Yep, that was a specific buyer that I remember seeing. So I just click save, and I can get email alerts up to every hour, depending upon how active you are. And then that'll just show up at the email address that you register with. But let's rerun this. And then let's look at some of the opportunities here that Privy found and see if these make sense. So this house right here is for sale for $270,000.
Those floors are nice.
Yeah, they're just standard hards, right? Nothing, extremely high end about them, but they're not ripped up, which is good.
Yep, you don't need to change that at all. It's a lipstick remodel.
Yep, let's say they did a rehab, 10 years ago or something like that. But there's definitely some room here. And then the reason why we flag this property as a deal is because there is a comparable that was flipped right here that they purchased for $211, and it's for sale for $445. So I'd actually like to see more comps that say this is a deal than just this one, and it hasn't even sold yet. So, they're not going to have great investor activity to help you prove ARV on this one. That's
the nice thing though that you just did. That took you 2 seconds to look at that and move on. That's great. Like that's exactly what we want to see. Yeah.
And you guys, if you're newer, this takes a little bit of time to figure out, but really we're just looking at the data. So once you start to figure out the real estate side of the business, you're not so focused on lead gen, then you'll start to be able to look at these things and say, okay, let's check this one out. This one was down the street from a fix and flip that sold for 300.
Now we're talking.
So 58% of the ARV on this one. So that one, if you find a property that you're interested in, you don't have to do stuff with them right now. You can actually just favorite them. You can add them to a list, and then you can come back to them later. But that's kind of like a standard workflow. When you get your first initial email, you're going to make a pass. You're going to go through all of them all at once. Save the ones that you think you want to take a second pass on. And then once you get through all the ones, then you just go back and you look at those and you say, okay, cool. Well, let's take a closer look at some of these things. It looks like the prices are all over the place for Minneapolis. Man, there was some stuff we saw at $1 million. This thing's at 140,000.
That's the Midwest suburbs for you.
Yeah.
Depends on where you're at.
Let's see how much activity. This is a smaller house, but it seems like there are quite a few smaller homes in Minneapolis too, which is not bad. It's just, it is what it is. So this one, could be worth looking at. The other thing I want to mention to you guys is that some of these might be good rentals. So if you're thinking about, we want to wholesale, wholesaling is great. But what I actually did is when I first started off wholesaling in St. Louis, I eventually realized that many of the properties that were wholesaling would make great rentals. And so I shifted my model to match what I was looking for. Since 249. Yeah, we've got 3 good comps here: 446, 432, 386. And that's
property. Absolutely. I'd be going after that thing all day.
Yeah.
All day.
So it doesn't look like we have time to call on active deals today, you guys, but I wanted to show you how simple it can be to just turn the algorithm on. And the guys, and this is in Minneapolis. This is not an easy market. Like, there's a reason why Joe said he was, having some trouble here. But you can do some deals, right? Because when we first looked at the map and all those red icons, those were all closed deals. So people are closing deals in the Minneapolis market. And that also means you'll be able to find some deals. You just got to work on it, do what we did before, call to find buyers, talk to investor-friendly agents, build out your buyers pool first to figure out what a deal is to them so you know what to go look for. And then you can use Privy's comping algorithm to go and find stuff to write offers on.
I love it. And guys, that was in Minnesota, like Benson mentioned. That's not necessarily the easiest market. We've got a couple of my diamond tier students that are out there, and they're looking into other markets as well. I think that when you find a market like this, you can do very well in it, but it's also going to be dependent on what your strategy is. Direct to seller, obviously, there's a lot more homes than it would be just MLS, but that doesn't mean you can't find deals on the MLS. You could still go out there and you can freaking crush it. It's just a matter of putting your mind to it. We appreciate you guys popping in here today. Hopefully you guys got some value. Everything about this, again, foundational, making sure you understand market research and where to find the buyers. That's why we love Privy, and then it can identify the easiest opportunities, the best ones to go after. So guys, we appreciate you. We will see you next week. Hope you guys have a great week and safe 4th of July. We will see you guys next week. Peace out.
Bye.